We're exploring how women are shaping the world of digital media. Please welcome our moderator, DC radio host, Dr. Vicki Johnson.
I am super excited to be here today to talk about the new era of media, women innovators shaping the digital age and storytelling with three amazing trailblazers who I am super excited to introduce and share with our audience today and with you, our viewers. Our first panelist is Onase Ejewiri, the visionary of High Vibe DC. What I am fascinated about Onose's story about is she's a former ER nurse and has a master's in integrated medicine. During the pandemic or sometime shortly thereafter, had to take some lemons and make lemonade, and now has a very successful content creating business. And so welcome, Onase, which means God has spoken. So I am so excited to hear from you today. Welcome, Onase.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Summer Hill, CEO of Summertime Productions, committed to bringing compelling stories to life. And we share a history at HU.
You know.
And we spent some time, both of us, in the past at BET. Super excited to hear from you, a social media expert. So welcome, Summer.
Thank you for
Let's
having
welcome
me.
Summer. And lastly is my sister and friend. She's a former Fox News talent booker turned tech founder of EBO, which means entertainment booking online, where she matches talent with media outlets using the power of AI. Currently, the EBO roster boasts 10,000 vetted voices and counting. Help me welcome Crystal to our panel this afternoon.
Thank you, Vicki.
You are welcome. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start with you, Onase. As a content creator that has shifted career paths, I'd say drastically, what advice do you have for people who want to follow their passion and create digital content? I know you may initially have felt forced into it, but I was stalking you for a while and love what you're doing with High Vibe DC. Absolutely a fantastic platform. So what advice would you share someone who is looking to follow their passion and create digital content?
Thank you for having me. For someone who's looking to follow their passion and they feel called to content creation, I would say we all have a special talent. Sometimes we feel like the market might be saturated, but if you have a dream on your heart, there's something about you that stands out, that makes you different from the next person. So tap into what makes you different, your story, your journey, where you've been, where you want to go, and share that with others. And even though it might be scary, just know that you showing up as you empowers other people to show up as them.
What was the pivot like for you, though? Because it's so drastically different, right, from medicine to content creation. Like, how did you make that leap? Because to someone who's not familiar with it, it seems like a pretty wide gap and a big leap, which you made so beautifully and so courageously and have built a beautiful community. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But how were you able to make that pivot?
It was a lot of determination. I was in nursing before, and when I decided to go to grad school after nursing, I had started sharing things that just helped me connect with myself. And so eventually the platform kind of just started growing because a lot of people were drawn to it. And with that, I decided to monetize. So it was that intentional effort to monetize that helps me kind of grow this and do this full time. And just knowing that whatever I'm putting out there, there are other people that would like to receive it, and going from there.
That's awesome. Summer.
Hey.
Do people walk up to you and start singing Summertime?
I get everything. I get summer, how was your summer? Like, okay, it's not funny anymore, but yeah.
So what I want to ask you as we're talking about innovating, in this digital landscape, how have you been able to integrate all of your work experiences, sharing innovative productions, and balancing the fast-paced world of social media. You navigate it pretty seamlessly.
Thank you.
And have created some really beautiful events. I stalked you too.
Thank you.
So how have you been able to really integrate all of that and find some balance?
Yeah, each place I've worked has contributed to the company that I created, right? So like you said, BET, that taught me a crazy work-life balance I'll never want to experience again. But it was a crucial lesson, right? I took a lesson from CBS, NBC, Fox, NPR, like every place I worked gave me a little piece that has helped build my company. But really, my company was built out of passion and out of desire and out of like creative need. Like if I don't get this out of me, like I'm gonna go crazy. I had to get this out of me. I've always wanted to do it. So people like to, what is your show about? Like, what's your niche? You wouldn't ask Oprah what her niche is, right? I like to talk about everything and to everyone. And so I think being at those places gave me courage, but also gave me, some technical skills that I use in my show.
I love the generations, right, sitting up here, because I think it is that determination and that unabashed courage that young people have, whereas my generation, because I'm probably old enough to be your mom, but that's okay. We like stability. We like stability. And what I admire about your generation, because my daughter is about your age, is I'm just going to do it. It's what I want. It's what is calling me. How important, Summer, have relationships been for you in building your digital business?
Incredibly important. Like that is what my business is built off of, the people around me. I could not have done it if it were not for the people around me. And my parents always taught me to do good business. I don't want anybody to walk away from an interaction with me and feel like slighted or disrespected or I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. And also, something that I was taught by my grandfather was to be a woman of your word. So if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I think that those skills have allowed me to build some very authentic and deep relationships with people who have paved the way for me and have helped me get to where I am.
I love it. And I'll co-sign that relationships will keep you and take you a long way. There are relationships that I have with people who we started together over 40 years ago, and we're still friends today. And it matters in moments when you need those relationships most. Crystal.
Vicky.
I am so excited that you're here to talk about AI for us because a lot of people are afraid of it, are afraid of AI, and you've built an entire platform using the power of AI. So my question for you is, what are some of the biggest hurdles in developing and implementing AI-driven platforms like EBO? And how do you ensure ethical and equitable use of the technology? Because people are afraid of it.
And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to dispel, right? As an AI software company and an innovator in this space, we really have to look at how can we influence the algorithms. So if we stay away from it, it tends to continue to keep that bias because we're not on those platforms. We have to challenge the algorithms. We have to actually input our information so that we can reshape how the narratives are told. It's just like what Summer is doing and what Onose is doing, right? If they weren't in their spaces, right, publicly, then that unique voice wouldn't shape perception. And so if we're not engaging with artificial intelligence, it is left to those who behind the scenes are building those algorithms that are typically are not black or brown, right, to inform those algorithms. So for us as a Black-led software AI company, as well as a team that's completely Black, right? Most of our team is in Nigeria and US, right? And so we actually inform the solution by our experiences. I took my 10 years of network experience and put that into the solution. The 140,000 segments that I booked while I was in network news into that. When I hosted content, was the only Black woman in the newsroom, right? You think about that 85% increase in diversity, being able to bring that unique perspective, not only to inputting the solution, but creating it, it just makes it safer for us to actually have innovative solutions that protect us and speak to who we are.
10,000 voices, vetted voices, and counting. Can you talk about how EBO works?
Oh, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I was in network news, booking talent every single day, from political experts to entertainment analysts. And so I had a scorecard in my brain that I did all manually. So I would have to research. I would have to do all the things that I'm sure both Summer and Onase do when they actually do their broadcast. And so I said, why is this still done the 1989 way? And so I decided to automate all of the sourcing and finding, the vetting, and then the coordination of all the bookings for actual media opportunities. And then we take that data and we inform how we shape the narratives. And so we give people outputs on the data that says this is how you should present your talent, this is how you should present your message, and this is who you should pitch to.
That's awesome. Totally overwhelming to me. But again, that's why I'm asking the question this way, because you make it palatable, right, for us to try. I want to ask this question to you, Summer. What advice would you give to young women aspiring to innovate and lead in the digital media landscape? You have a unique background, right, that you've been able to integrate. But to someone just starting, someone watching, someone, as we heard in the previous panel, who's looking at you and you, Onase, and saying, I want to do that, right? What advice would you give to a young woman watching you navigate this digital landscape? And it's changing.
It is.
So rapidly, AI. It's changing. So what advice would you give?
I would say do it scared. Like the reason that, so I started my show in 2022, right? This had been on my heart since I was 5 years old. The reason that it took me so long was because I'm like, well, I need to have the appropriate people behind me. I need to do it for the appropriate company. I need to have the resources. I need to have the skill and the experience. I need to have the and then I was like, well, if I'm waiting for all this, I'm gonna be waiting forever. And I saw something that said, there's somebody doing what you want to do, but they're not as good as you. Like, you could do it better than them, right? Because you have the skill. I'm degreed, I've been a journalist for almost 10 years now. What's stopping me? So I had to look inside, and I'm like, oh, I know what's stopping me. It's a lack of confidence. That's what it is. And nothing externally can fix that. Only something that I can do can fix that. So do it scared. Do it anyway. So every time I'm getting ready to do something and I feel anxious or scared or timid or whatever the emotion, I say, do it anyway. And I get it done. And then I realize that the person who I wanted to be is on the other side of that obstacle, right? So I'll remind them, like, when you look in the mirror, think about who you want to be and then jump through that obstacle to become it.
That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah, let's celebrate that. Love that so much. Onase, I want to ask you this question. What are some significant opportunities that you see for creating content in the lifestyle space that you do? Like, if people want to know what to do, where to go, how to be in DC, follow Onase and High Vibe DC. Like, how do you come up with what you're going to talk about? Because it's a perfect mix, right? It feels good, it looks good, and then it's inviting. So how do you come up with what you're going to share?
A lot of it is really just feeling it out, feeling the energy of certain spaces. You can, at certain points in time, I'll know, okay, I know DC feels like it's craving more warmth or more yoga events, or sometimes it's craving being with community more. So I really tap into the feeling of different seasons, and I start to look for different things that are happening around, and then I begin to compile it and share it. Also, being in community and speaking to people, you hear what they're doing, you hear what other people are doing. It inspires you to go out there and also do these things. And it also lets you know what the community wants to go to and what the community has as well, because there are so many businesses out there. And I feel like if we have the ability to amplify them so other people know what resources they have, they would be there.
That's great. Storytelling. It is so powerful these days, right? What is a story, Summer, one of yours, a quick story that after you had that experience, you knew your life would never be the same?
Ooh, I have a great one.
Okay.
Okay, so minding my business one day, got an email and was like, hey, do you want to come moderate a panel at Art Basel? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Who's going to be on it? They're like, we'll let you know later. So I'm like, okay. So later comes around, I'm like, who's going to be on this panel? They were like, Felicia Rashad. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So, you know, how do you prepare to interview Felicia Rashad? So I just started doing my research, looking back at old movies, videos, interviews, etc. And the morning of, I was anxious, I was nervous. And I woke up and I prayed and I was like, you know, guide me through this conversation. Everyone who's come before me, who's set this experience up for me, guide me through this. And I was guided through the conversation. And at the end of it, after we finished talking, and she was like, that was really good. And I was like, thank you. Can you please introduce me to Oprah? And she was like, what she said to me is what's that? She said, baby, you don't need Oprah. That was enough. Okay, all right. So that really motivated me, like, to tell me I don't need Oprah. Okay. And Felicia Rashad said it. Yep. Crazy, but I hold that very near and dear to my heart.
Powerful. Mm-hmm. What a powerful moment. Crystal, who inspires you? Like, where did you get your inspiration to step out and do this spectacular venture that you have?
So my story is really personal because my grandmother, who primarily raised me with my mom, and she technically was mentally ill, as people would call it. But she was my best friend. And for most of her journey, she was untreated. But this woman had the faith of anything. I mean, like, she could pray us through anything. And so while she was technically not well, she still persevered. She still raised her 8 children. She still raised a dynamic granddaughter, you know. And so just thinking about her light and her love and how she was always caring, always compassionate, despite not knowing what was going on inside herself. What I think a lot of us as Black women specifically, we walk around with heavy loads that we don't know how to balance, that we don't really give time to really understand. And so that woman is why I say I do everything, because I know through her resilience, she kept us safe in a city like Baltimore, where I grew up. She was very caring and nurturing, but more importantly, she made me think I was the most beautiful, capable young woman on the planet. And so, you know, I think that, I know that that's who really inspires me forever.
Shout out to grandmother.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Shout out to all of our grandmothers. You know, because of them, we are. I want to say, how do you foster authentic connection with your audience? Because y'all have to check her out, High Vibe DC. I'm sure she'll tell you that. Looking at your content, it pulls you in. It really does. And where does that authenticity come from?
This will sound cliche, but it comes from just showing up as myself. And I used to be I was very introverted and very scared to show up as my full self because what if people didn't like that? But I realized if I want to attract my tribe, my people, I have to show who I am, and that those people will be attracted to me. So even when things aren't going right, just sharing who I am, sharing my journey, knowing that we are not perfect. And when I began to share, I just realized the amount of people who I was attracting, but the amount of people who are sharing their stories, and it really just brought me so much joy and really filled my heart to hear other people going through such similar things and realizing that we're all humans. And so when we connect with each other, it just makes us stronger.
Just so sweet. I just love it. You know, even watching your content when you took us to the hair salon with you to get your hair relocked, I was like, she is the real deal.
Thank you.
Right? Because that is a most vulnerable time for us as Black women especially. But for you to say, come with me, right, and go through this experience with me, I think is the epitome of the name, you know, of your platform. So that's great. Summer, what legacy do you want to leave?
I just want to have an impact. I remember Tupac said, he was like, I may not be the one, but I may spark the mind of the one. And I'm okay with that. Like, my goal is to impact at least one person. If one person feels like they can start their own business or share a story or start their own podcast, then I will feel accomplished. Like, I just want to have an impact, a positive impact on my community.
You're doing that.
Thank you.
You have some beautiful productions, beautiful events. And, I invite our audience and those watching and listening to really connect with each of you because you are making a tremendous impact. And telling our stories is the way we're going to thrive. It is the way we're going to move forward in spite of whatever obstacles, that we're facing. Crystal, before we get to our Q&A, what is one thing that you'd hope to see change in the digital media space over the next 3 to 5 years?
What I'm committed to is ensuring that Black and brown founders get funded. What people don't understand about innovation is when you're properly funded, you're 25% more likely to succeed just starting out. What people don't know is that Black women, for their innovations, typically only receive 0.041%, so less than 0.5%, to scale our innovations. At the start, we usually only get up to $200,000 in funding, when our counterparts usually get $1.14 million at the start, right? And so I'm committed to making sure that everybody knows that. Everybody can actually play at the table. Don't think just because you only have $5,000 that you can't support the next innovator, right? Because it makes a difference. When I think about being in this space as a technologist and a Black woman technologist in a space that's not diverse at all, we are the innovators. We are the creators of culture, right? But we need to support that in a relentless way and not look to say, oh, that's what other communities do. This is what I believe is going to reshape all of it, because when you have the power in spaces like media, entertainment, technology, we change the world. So why not be behind those people that are creating the solutions to change the world?
And can you share, thank you so much for that data, that information, and that empowerment, seriously, because it's frequently held behind the gate, right? It's not just put on the table in this way, which is the power of, this day, this experience that we've put on and that we're being a part of today. I think sharing was not so palatable for the masses, but having intimate conversations like this, allow us to connect and be empowered and be strengthened. So I love that you have the numbers. You're so smart.
You got to pull the veil off, Vicki. We got to pull the veil off.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, because that's how we stay stagnant, right? We have to be committed to showing that this is the truth of it. But also, when we're properly funded, right, we are 35% more likely to get a return on investment for our investors. So that means that we are going to succeed and get you your money back anyway. So why not bet on the best? Because we are the ones that are turning water into wine with $100,000.
Come on, bet on the best.
Bet on the best.
Bet on the best. I love that. Are there any questions from the audience for any of our panelists? And we have someone coming.
Hey everybody, my name is Nabila Mangum. I work for Events DC and I'm a creative as well, honestly in almost anything. But my question is, how do you get over any creative blocks if you guys do experience that, and how are you able to motivate yourself to keep going in the creative space?
Go ahead.
I think about where I will be if I don't keep going. Like, do you ever look back at your life like 2 years ago, like, oh my gosh, I was like chilling, like I was kind of bored. Yeah. I don't ever have bored moments anymore, and I don't necessarily want to. Like, I filled that time with creativity, and I find different sources of inspiration, whether that be the people around me. Do I need to go to Florida and go to the beach for a second? I find in food, in music, like, you have to seek creativity, and when you seek it, it will also seek you. So keep it around you. Keep people around you that inspire you to create.
I'll add to that as well. Find practices that you can find your creativity through. I read this book called The Artist's Way in 2023, and it's changed my life. It has me writing 3 pages, just like once you wake up in the morning every single day, and that will get you through like the creative blocks. Every time I write in the morning, it just helps me get through it. So highly recommend.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Hello, I'm really enjoying this panel, so thank you. I'm PJ. I am a student at Howard in their media program, and so I'm pursuing my PhD, and I'm trying to balance my personal online presence and then my more public page. So I wonder how you all manage privacy in your personal life while also maintaining your public-facing pages?
That's a great question. I want to say, and then Summer, and then Crystal, because you all do that very well.
For me, is finding the non-negotiables. So if I say, this is my boundary, I'm not going to talk about this online, then I leave that and I keep it private.
Yeah, I just really believe in authenticity. Like, you know, if I wake up and I got a scarf on my head and I got something to say on social media, I'm going to say it on social media. Now, obviously, there's a line when safety comes in. Like, I don't want people to know where I live, my address, anything like that. But I like to show up. So luckily I just posted on my story, so it'll be gone in 24 hours and hopefully nobody screenshot me. But I show up the way that I am, and I find that when I do, other people will meet me where I'm at and will do it as well.
Well, I love the boldness of this generation, which I am not, okay? And my content manager is here, Rachel, and she knows. So I am very scripted. I am very, very intentional, simply because I know that I have a lot for me, right, that I want to ensure is communicated and conveyed the right way, right? Because I have stakeholders in my company. I have other things that I know I want to grow and do. And so what I believe is that I have to make space to create, right? Like I have to be in the right mental headspace, you know, managing a team of 20 and all these things that I do. And so for me, I say these are the pillars, right, of what I want to communicate. And then that day that I feel like that pillar, I'm intentional about creating content around that, because in that way I can feel really good and confident, but also know it's reaching the people that I wanted to reach in the way that I wanted to reach them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Great answers. We have one more question before we close.
Hi, my name is Artlesia Bibbs of Artlesia Bibbs Fine Arts and Ward 7 Arts Collaborative. I would not say that I'm a content creator, but what I'll say is that I have quite a following, and I would like to move that into that realm. What resources do you recommend that people that have, say, 50,000 people that follow them every 28 days or so, how can we then take it to the next level?
Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It is.
I would say being really intentional, and so finding a couple courses, whether it's a social media course or speaking to somebody who maybe does plan content, and that way when you're intentional about sitting down and strategizing, you're able to put everything in a plan, and then that helps you kind of drive it to the next level.
And if I may, I'm a little bit more of a throw something at the wall and see if it sticks type of person. I don't know if y'all can tell. But I like to just do everything. I'm just get my feet wet, try everything, see what lands. You'll see what your audience wants. Ultimately, you got to kind of, you know, do what your audience likes. So throw stuff out there, get their engagement, get their responses, get their ideas. Like put on your story, what do y'all want to see? And they'll tell you, and just try it all. That's what I like to do.
And I just want to throw a tech thing in there for you for monetization, right? So looking at putting content on the blockchain, right? NFTs and things of that nature. So we can start to, again, own what we create, right? In these digital spaces. So I would say start to do some research on how you can monetize those aspects of things using artificial intelligence, blockchain, NFTs, because we have scalable things that people want to engage in, and we should absolutely be compensated for our art. Yeah.
Let's give our panelists a hand. This has been incredible. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Summer. Thank you, Onase. And thank you all for joining us today here for Women in Media and Entertainment.